president's plan, there is $170 billion in aid to schools to help K through 12 schools to open safely. The Republicans, though, wanted their focus to be on colleges and universities, and their price tag was $35 billion. And the White House wants to send $350 billion to state and local governments to help fire, police, and public sector jobs. The Republican senators didn't offer any details on that themselves. The president said he's not married to any of these details, but does say Congress needs to act quickly, fast, and big as people and families are in peril, and they really need to come together. Elise?
Yeah, and here at home, Dana, Georgia taxpayers telling us they're still waiting on benefit requests from the December plan that was signed by then President Trump.
Yeah. And we told you in December that this rollout was going to be slower than you're going to be expecting. And here's a reminder why. This new benefits offer requires more verification. The Trump administration and their second stimulus package said we need more verification so that we can cut back on fraud. You know, that first wave came out fast. The second time they had an opportunity to put this stuff in place. So that means, according to the Department of Labor here in Georgia, going back and re-verifying about 350 applications, and that has slowed things down.
All right.
Choice. But the Treasury Secretary during the Clinton administration says he worries President Biden is trying to go too big, saying a relief deal of this size could, quote, set off inflationary pressure of a kind we've not seen in a generation. The president's economic advisor says that's just not true. One of Georgia's newly elected senators, Jon Ossoff, says his first priority in office is to get help to the president's relief deal and get it passed.
Immediate short-term priority is to ensure that the COVID relief package, which will include funding for vaccines, stimulus checks for Georgia families, and resources for local governments, that's public safety, school districts, public health, is moving as swiftly as possible.
Senator Ossoff says that has been his primary focus in the last week.
COVID-19 cases in Georgia are moving in the right direction. The 7-day average positivity rate has gone down for the 9th day in a row. It now stands at 12.3%. It's very optimistic news considering just a month ago that same statistic was nearing 20%. Meantime, the Pentagon says it will deploy military personnel across the nation to help with the vaccination efforts. More than 1,100 troops, will deploy to 5 vaccination sites in the first wave of military support for the distribution. 2 of those centers are in California. The other 3 have not yet been announced. Here in Georgia, health officials have administered more than 72% of the state's vaccine supply. Globally, the World Health Organization says the number of people who have received at least 1 dose of a vaccine is now higher than the number of people infected. The director of the WHO called
County police say this all started from a robbery at a home Thursday in Mableton, which led to a police chase that ended in the city of Atlanta. Cop police say the armed robbery happened on Woodward Circle in Mableton just before 6. Officers located the car with 3 men inside and followed it onto I-20 and into the city of Atlanta. The suspect's car crashed into another car on I-20, and all 3 men jumped out and took off before police could arrive. The first suspect was able to make it to MLK and Bolton roads, where Atlanta police say he was hit and killed by a car. The Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office confirmed 17-year-old Kawan Hurd was the man killed. The second suspect made it to a nearby apartment complex where police say he had someone call him a ride share. Authorities were able to track down 21-year-old Ade Nelson George and arrest him. Atlanta police told Fox 5 Nelson George was also wanted on murder charges related to the death of a 19-year-old found in a car January the 20th.
He was a good kid. He never drank. He never smoked. He went to school. He worked 7 days a week.
He was a great guy.
He was a good kid.
We spoke to the family of Jakendrick Taylor earlier in the week. Atlanta police say Taylor was found shot to death in the passenger side of his white Chevy Impala, and the car had been set on fire.
He was killed right outside my grandmother's house, like right in a parking spot, and they moved his car to the next street and set it on fire.
Nelson George faces felony murder and aggravated assault charges. The third suspect in this bizarre case remains on the run. And right now, police are still working.
In Washington, is that incitement? Should that be sanctioned? There is no comparison. This was an effort to overturn an election in and of itself, an unconstitutional endeavor. This was a crowd of tens of thousands of people. The president had access to intelligence to tell him that there were individuals there who were intending to storm the Capitol. And then once again, while the attack was happening, the president had the ability to turn them around, and he didn't. The circumstances are completely different. The president's responsibility is completely different, especially as the actual attack was happening.
Was for promoting them. The next litmus test will come at President Trump's impeachment trial this week. All 50 Senate Democrats are almost certain to take what is a politically safe vote for them to convict. What will Republicans do? House Republicans voted by a huge margin to keep Liz Cheney as the number 3 in her party. But that was a secret ballot. Senate Republicans won't have that luxury. What would they do if they did? And what will they do when their voters are watching?
The party is his. It doesn't belong to anybody else.
Republicans grappling with the party's identity face another test this week as the Senate hears arguments in Donald Trump's second impeachment trial.
The resolution is adopted.
On Thursday, just 11 House Republicans voted to strip Georgia's Marjorie Taylor Greene of her committee assignments after she endorsed violence against top Democrats, called school shootings a hoax, and 9/11 a conspiracy theory.
Q is a patriot. We know that for sure. It's odd there's never any evidence shown for a plane in the Pentagon.
Greene said she regrets those comments, but pointed fingers.
Will we allow the media that is just as guilty as QAnon of presenting truth and lies to divide us?
House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy, who condemned QAnon months ago,
there is no place for QAnon in the Republican Party,
claimed this week he does not know what it is.
Denouncing QAnon, I don't know if I say it right, I don't even know what it is.
Meanwhile, 61 House Republicans voted in a secret ballot to strip Congresswoman Liz Cheney, who supported impeachment, of her leadership post. In the Senate, many Republicans had made it clear they support Cheney and that Greene does not belong in Congress.
Is she a good face for the Republican Party? She's not.
Republican leader Mitch McConnell, quote, "Loony lies and conspiracy theories are cancer for the Republican Party and our country." North Carolina's Tom Tillis tweeted, "It's not conservative, it's insane." But Republican senators have to decide how willing they are to challenge the half of the party that calls themselves Trump Republicans. The answer from some, not very.
This is about I believe, is a psychological obsession with the president. They can't just let it go.
Only 5 Senate Republicans voted against an effort to dismiss the trial. Among them, Nebraska's Ben Sasse, who is facing possible censure by his state party.
You are welcome to censure me again, but let's be clear about why this is happening. It's because I still believe, as you used to, that politics isn't about the weird worship of one dude.
House impeachment managers will argue.
The office is saying that because of the $900 billion that was on a bipartisan basis negotiated, there'll be 3.8% GDP growth in 2021. Now, when you have 3.8% GDP growth, which is like more than we've had for quite some time, coming out of a pandemic, you've done something right. And so I actually think that we got it pretty good.
Your proposal, by the way, you were one of the senators that has been fighting hard to get aid to state and local governments, one of the few Republicans that have joined some Democrats. This counter proposal of yours did not include state aid, and you have said, look, it is hard for you to get, my guess is you couldn't get 10 Republicans to join you if you did. If that is the issue, how do you come to a bill where you know you have the Democrats on the side of state and local aid here?
You got to look at facts. Now, the reason I said it would be difficult is that some states have done better in 2020 than they did in 2019. California has had record tax revenue. Now, my state's been hurt. Let's just say it. But New York, for all of their complaining, Governor Cuomo's complaining, has only had a 1.5% decrease in revenue. New Jersey, 0.5%. And nationwide, I think it's like 0.1% revenue decline nationwide. Now, it's hard to build political consensus when there's only 0.1% revenue decline. If good policy is good politics, then maybe bad policy is bad politics. And if we're going to throw $350 billion at states when New York has had record increased revenue, some folks are going to scratch their head and says that's not justified Let's think of a different way to do it.
Are you still willing to work with the Biden White House if this deal ends up being on a party line vote? Will this make it harder for you to work with them, or you know what, you'll be there for the next one?
You actually have two different questions in that. I am absolutely willing to work with anyone if it's good for the American people, because that's what we should all be about. We have conservative solutions. The more conservative values infuse public policy, I think the better public policy is. On the other hand, the administration is showing very clearly they don't care if they have to work with us. They're willing to push things through, even if someone like Larry Summers, a former Democratic Treasury Secretary, says it's boneheaded policy. I'm paraphrasing. And even if we come in good faith with at least 10 and more that would have joined us, and they say they don't care. So you've got that. It takes two to tango. Right now, I'm not sure we have the two to tango.
Well, I think that has been a challenge.
You have a long list you can work within your own.
You worried about the precedent that has been set here? I had a former aide to a Republican speaker say to me, Democrats are going to, if they start this precedent, my side will show no mercy the next time they have power.
No, look, Kevin McCarthy stands for nothing except the perpetuation of his own position. He has no values, and in my view, cares about little except for hoping to be speaker one day, God forbid. But look, if members of either party are threatening violence against other members of the party, of the body, and suggesting they be executed, if they are casting doubt on 9/11 or school shootings, if they're heckling victims of crime, like Marjorie Taylor Greene did with the victim of the Parkland shooting, if they're suggesting that a religious group is shooting laser beams to start forest fires, they should be expelled from their committees, whatever party they are in. They shouldn't, frankly, even be in the Congress.
You're not worried about the precedent?
No, as long as we hold the same standard. You have members that are threatening to execute each other, and they should be removed from their committees.
Seems like a reasonable standard. Adam Schiff, Democrat from Southern California, chair of the Intelligence Committee, and you're rumored to potentially have a new job. We'll find out in the coming days whether that happens or not. Congressman, thanks very much.
Figaro? That'll fix that queasy cat. Well, maybe I can get some sleep. Maybe do it. Where's my dream book? He failed solo.
I cannot believe it. We're different, you and I. Remember, we'll always have so much fun.
Trollfish, I'm looking forward to Grey Rabbit. Tell me, Droopy, what's he look like? He looks just like you. Not so fast, the green car. You got me yet, my gum. Lumbago. Stop or I'll shoot. Stop or I'll shoot. In the torpedoes.